The Secrets of Star Wars is brought to you by the Star Quest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give.
I am Emily Swallow, also known as the Armorer on The Mandalorian. And I'm just giving a little shout out to the Secrets of Star Wars podcast because this is the way.
You're listening to the Secrets of Star Wars episode 90.
Hello there.
It's a power that Jedi have that lets them control people and make things float.
Impressive. Every word in that sentence was wrong.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
It's against my programming to impersonate a deity.
That's not how the Force works.
Force is with me, and I am with the Force, and I fear nothing.
Remember, the Force will be with you, always.
Hey everyone, I'm Father Andrew Kinsetter, aka Father Fett, and you're listening to the Secrets of Star Wars, where we talk about everything connected to that galaxy far, far away, including the deeper themes and meanings. Just a reminder, you can get your own official Secrets of Star Wars t-shirt by going to sqpn.com/merch. These are fun t-shirts that encapsulate our philosophy of finding hope in a galaxy far, far away. You can also join the StarQuest fan club mailing list by texting StarQuest, all one word, to 66866. Also, of course, please share the podcast on your favorite social media so that way we can get seen by more people who would be interested in hearing us talk about Star Wars, and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. That also gets us seen by more people, and it also lets us know how we're doing. So we'd love to hear your feedback on that. So today we are shifting gears quite a bit since the end of the Bad Batch. And so to kind of pass the time until Star Wars Visions, we are going to be doing some kind of one-off episodes here. And so first of all, we thought it would be fun to talk about the Disneyland and Disney World Star Wars Galaxy Edge immersive experience, since one of the other podcasters and I have both been there recently. So welcoming onto the show this evening is Andrew Hermes.
Hello, Father. Pleasure to be here.
It's good to have you. So it's just going to be us two tonight, because we are the only two on the podcast crew that have been to Galaxy's Edge. And I'm sure our fellow co-hosts are going to listen with perhaps a little bit of jealousy, but hopefully they can go visit Disney World or Disneyland at some point, because Galaxy's Edge is a really, really cool experience.
To say the least, yeah.
Yeah. So that's what we're going to talk about. We've both been there really within the last month. I went to the Disney World version at Hollywood Studios, and Andrew, you went to the Disneyland park.
That's right.
So I guess right off the bat, I mean, what was it like for you walking into the park?
It was a lot of emotions. I mean,
Yep.
Like, yeah, I don't want to. It's really not hyperbole, and I wasn't expecting it, because I've gone to Disneyland many times, and obviously when Star Wars Land opened, I just couldn't wait to get there, and this was my first time seeing it, and I had obviously high expectations, being a Star Wars fan and looking forward to something new at the Disneyland park. Because of the pandemic and all that, it was just, it took a lot longer for me to get there, but finally getting there, I remember vividly, we did a few things, in the beginning of the day at the park, outside of Star Wars Land. Like, we went on the Pirates ride first and, did a few other things. And I remember walking towards Star Wars Land. There's, I don't know if it's like this at the Orlando Resort, but at least at the one in Anaheim, there's like a transition from, I think it's Frontierland to Star Wars Park. I think that to Star Wars Land, I think that's the closest, themed area. Anyway, it's like a really smooth transition. It's kind of impressive, like from Frontierland or whatever it was into Star Wars Land, and it just slowly builds up. It's like when you're first walking in, is this like you start to hear the Star Wars music, and it's like, oh, okay, we're here, or we're getting there, but you can't really see much in the distance. It's just a bunch of trees. You're surrounded by a bunch of trees. It's starting to feel like closer and closer. Like the trash cans, literally the trash cans were the first sign of Star Wars Land, because there were trash cans that were painted like droids and had, you know, some foreign Star Wars language on it. And
Arbesh. Yep.
Arbesh, yeah. And I was like, okay, we're here. And then just out of nowhere, like it's kind of almost like entering a new dimension. Like you're just sweeping, like the architecture is like you're just literally in that world. And, you know, I was telling someone this recently, I forgot who it was. I think I've told this to many people. That's why I'm forgetting. But I'm like, you know, Disney, they're so good at the details. Mm-hmm. And especially with this, like they obviously use the latest and greatest technology. So it makes the rest of the park pale in comparison, because obviously the rest of the park has been there for a while. It's like Disney already has our money. Like Star Wars, like obviously is like a treasured franchise, and they don't need to go the extra mile that they do, you know, but the fact that they do it anyway is like, it's very impressive. Like
it shows that they're fans as well.
Yes, exactly. And you know what sets Disneyland apart from other theme parks is really the experience and that level of detail. It's not just about, like, you know, the rides or, you know, just getting people in there and eating overpriced food and all that stuff. Yeah, that's a part of it. But, you know, Disneyland, I think in general, you know, the food is usually on another level. It's always better. And the rides, the level of detail, again, the architecture, and just being immersed in these different worlds. And then Star Wars being the most recent, you know, along with at the other park in Anaheim, California Adventure, they recently opened the Avengers campus. Mm-hmm. Maybe we'll do an episode on that on the Marvel podcast. But yeah, just walking in and then seeing the Millennium Falcon, like a real size, like when they're filming these movies, like even the actors didn't experience this, because they filmed on sets that were just pieces of a ship.
The Millennium Falcon was this little probably toy that they were filming, you know. Exactly.
Yeah. And and just waiting in line in that ride, you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm in the Millennium Falcon. Like it's tactile, like everything's tactile. Even though you don't know what a Millennium Falcon would smell like, somehow it smells like a Millennium Falcon. Like it's that level of detail. And the Rise of Resistance, I'm sure we'll get to that. Yep. But that was just a whole nother level of theme park rides. I think doesn't get better than that.
Oh yeah.
We'll get to it.
We'll get to that. That's coming up quick.
Yeah. And you know, just everything about it is just, you literally feel like you're in that world, and you're not at Disneyland anymore. You're not on planet Earth anymore. Right. Like I'm not exaggerating. It was really, and it was really, really, like, I just felt, you know, every emotion I did as a kid watching the original trilogy for the first time. And then when I really got into Star Wars, when the prequels came out, when I was in middle school, like all those same feelings came back, and even more, because of just how overwhelming, you know, it is. And I didn't want to leave. Yeah, it was really better than I even expected. So, which is, with the high expectations I already had, was really on another level for me.
I think you hit it. With the word immersive, like this is an immersive experience. You're just kind of, you're blown away with awe. So at Orlando, you have to go through a bit of Hollywood Studios before you can get to Galaxy's Edge. But the quickest way to Galaxy's Edge in Orlando, you end up having to go through this huge tunnel that they've kind of carved out of the rock there. And so it's actually a very solid transition. Like you walk through this tunnel and then bam, you're in Batuu. And you're not just, it's not just a ride. It's not just, a themed restaurant. It is, you are on Batuu.
And actually Disneyland did have a tunnel as well. Okay. It was like it's a separate way to get in there. It had a tunnel.
Were you closer to the Millennium Falcon?
When I first entered?
Entrance? Yeah.
Actually, no, it was like the shops in Batuu.
Okay.
When I take that back. I was closer to Rise of the Resistance, the initial way I entered.
Yep.
But if you go through the tunnel, like you were describing, you're closer to the Millennium Falcon.
See, and I think in Orlando those are swapped. because the tunnel put me right where Rise of the Resistance was. So I had to walk through that, and then I had to come around the corner, and then Batuu kind of opens up, and you see all the shops, and then the Millennium Falcon, life size. I would describe it, I mean, for a quick analogy, it would be akin to, you know, having your kids see Cinderella's castle at Disneyland or Disney World. That's the experience for us seeing the Millennium Falcon. That's where, you know, everybody's gathered to get pictures. And
it's funny you use that analogy because, you know, everyone gathers by the castle to watch the fireworks at night. Right. I'm assuming it's the same at Orlando.
Yep.
And I'm glad I did this. It happened by chance. It was like we're going to go see the fireworks. My daughter was already passed out. She was like in the stroller, passed out. It was past her bedtime, but we're like, okay, we're going to, at least watch the fireworks. So she was asleep or awake, whatever. Anyway, but I was really trying to get into the cantina.
Yeah.
And even though I booked tickets a month before, there were no reservations for the cantina. So I got on a wait list, and by the time I got there, they were already closing.
Mm-hmm.
So I unfortunately I didn't get to experience the cantina. Yeah, unfortunately.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I know. That's the one thing I didn't get to do. I'm sure you can tell me all about it, but, and I'll be jealous. But anyway, since it was close to that closing time, we decided to watch the fireworks in Star Wars Land instead of where everyone else was.
Okay.
You know, by the castle, where it's crowded and it's hard to get a good spot. But at Star Wars Land, there was like no one there. There were just, you know, a decent amount of people, but you can walk around and breathe, you know, it was, but the fireworks in Anaheim, at least, obviously, it almost, you can tell, like, they launched the fireworks like from there. You are so freaking close to those fireworks, and seeing the fireworks, you know, in the backdrop of Batuu was like unbelievable.
So is Cinderella's castle on the other side?
Oh, it's on the complete other side.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a decent walk away. I know. I haven't been to Orlando, but I know it's more spread out.
Yeah,
than Anaheim.
Cinderella's castle is in a completely different park in Orlando.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. So it's in the same park at Anaheim, because there's only 2 parks in Anaheim. I think there are like 5 in Orlando. But
there's a bunch.
Yeah, but it is a far walk. It's a pretty far walk from where Star Wars Land is to the castle. So that's why there are really not a lot of people. But
still, that would be fun.
It was. I'll send you some pictures of the fireworks and some videos from Star Wars Land. It was stunning. It was amazing. It was like, I'm like, anytime I go back to Disneyland, that's where I'm watching the fireworks. Like,
oh, that's great. So yeah, I do want to talk about Ogus Cantina. So when I went there just a couple weeks ago, I too didn't plan ahead enough to have reservations. So here might be a tip for those of you listening. If you're interested in going to the cantina and you don't have reservations, we went there right off the bat. So we got there, I think the park opened at 9, and I think we got there at about, it was like we were at Ogus Cantina at like 9:20. So they were like, well, we can put you on the wait list and we can see what happens. And they put us on the wait list, and literally within a minute they were like, oh yeah, spot opened up and let us into the cantina.
Nice.
So we were there, and the point too was we were waiting for our allotted time for Rise of the Resistance. So we'll get to that here in a minute. So me and my buddy Carlos went into Ogus Cantina at 9 a.m. and
interesting time to be at a bar. Yeah.
You know, it's 5 o'clock somewhere on Batuu at that point.
There you go. Yeah.
So Ogus Cantina is a really fun place to go to. The whole bar, I mean, it feels like the Mos Eisley Cantina. It's got the kind of the jutted out bar area, and droids aren't serving you. You're served by people, the natives of Batuu, and you can get like all sorts of different concoctions with alcohol, without alcohol. I think I took a picture of it. It was an Endor Yub-Nub. And so I think it was like a rum and kind of like a Mai Tai. It was kind of a rum and pineapple juice kind of drink. And we got a charcuterie plate And of course, everything is in universe. So like the drinks you're getting and the food you're getting is not just, well, you're getting bits of salami and you're getting, bits of cheese. It's like, and I forget what animals it was, but like it's, animals native to Batuu is what you're eating on this charcuterie platter. And yeah, just a real fun, lively atmosphere. The bartenders are super friendly. One of the big draws about Ogus Cantina is that there's a very particular DJ who's playing music in there. And what's cool about the DJ is it's a droid and it's Rex. And this is the same droid that used to be in Star Tours. So he retired his piloting experience at Star Tours and came over to be a DJ at Ogus Cantina. So,
nice.
So definitely worth checking out if you can get to Ogus Cantina.
Yeah, I was able to eat at one of the restaurants there. I think it was Docking Bay 7 or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah, and that was cool. The level of detail even there, and I think they had a lot of the same drinks that probably Ogus Cantina serves. So, and I bought they did have a spork, like a metal spork that you could purchase.
Nice.
Yeah, that has some Arbesh written on it. That I was able to get. But yeah, I was bummed. Yeah, I mean, I did have my now 3-year-old daughter. She just turned 3, so she was almost 3. She was with us, so I think if she wasn't with us, I would have definitely been able to get into the cantina because I think it probably works the same way in Orlando. This is probably another tip. If you don't get a reservation, they do have virtual walk-ins.
Yep.
And for most of the day, it was like unavailable. But if you keep refreshing, spots will pop up. It popped up for me. I just didn't have the wiggle room to fit some time to get in there. But
at least the one in Orlando, we just walked up to the cantina and they put us into a wait list. And so then they texted me when there was an opening.
Yeah, I tried that like in the middle of the day and they were like, we're booked.
Yeah.
They said they actually told me keep refreshing on the app. But
something like that, the earlier you can get to it, the better. Because then there's less walk-ins, there's less just rush.
Right.
So and it's Batuu, so go have a drink when it suits you. So definitely worth checking out. Let's shift to Rise of the Resistance. So this is kind of the I would say it's the biggest like attraction, if you will, for Galaxy's Edge. The whole idea is that, and so to begin with, Batuu itself, the whole place, it's what I loved about it, going back to talking about it being an immersive experience, is that you have landed in a world where the First Order is present and so is the Resistance. So I think in the chronology, this actually takes place between The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. So like you can see Kylo Ren walking around and the stormtroopers and Rey and everything. So all of the story is tied up in that, but also there's the local story. You can talk to the local natives and stuff. But Rise of the Resistance then comes into play because that is a very particular story that takes place on Batuu in this fight between the First Order and the Resistance. And so this ride is so popular that you cannot just walk up to it and get in line. You have to use the app, and at 7 a.m, you have to hit that button to get into the virtual queue. And if you miss that, you can try again at 1 p.m. and try for the afternoon. And if you don't get into either, you're pretty much out of luck. I think I read that Orlando, like for the first time ever, ran out of all their virtual wait list and was able to let people walk in at the end of the day. But that was like the first time ever that happened. So if you're going to go, make sure that you have the Disney World or the Disneyland app, and that you right at 7 a.m, you got to have super quick fingers and
that's a must.
Hit that virtual queue.
I was at 6:58, my wife and I had our phones out and we're just refreshing. And as soon as that join button, turned blue, it was like, quick, you got to tap it like 3 times too. It's like join, confirm, done.
It was funny. So Luckily we got in. I set my alarm and then got up, and so I was actually still lying in bed as I hit that button, and then I was like, okay, now we can like get up and have breakfast and then head over to Galaxy's Edge. And so so this ride is super super cool. So it's not just a roller coaster. It's an experience. So the whole idea behind it is that you are a recruit from the Resistance, and they filmed Rey. So Daisy Ridley makes an appearance. John Boyega, Adam Driver, Oscar Isaac, all of them reprise their roles.
Yes.
And so you're recruited by Rey to join the Resistance, and you walk onto this transport, and it's very interactive. You're not seated. You walk onto this transport, and you get escorted out of the atmosphere of Batuu, and there's screens in the transport that you can see what's going on, and you then of course are boarded by the First Order. They capture you, and they literally dock with you and board the ship.
Yes.
And
these are actors too. Yeah.
And it's so amazing because they stay in character. I mean, no matter what, they come on and they're all like rough and like everybody off the transport, and you've got moms and dads and kids, and like everybody's ushered off of this transport onto the Star Destroyer, and that is one of the most iconic shots, I think, in the entire ride. You have the stormtroopers all lined up, and
goosebumps.
And it's huge. The set is huge. You feel like you're in a hangar.
Yeah. Every little area that you've been in up to that point, it's like you're in a small room, then you go to another small room,
right.
Then you're like a little hallway,
right?
And then this door slides open, and then it's just this huge immersive, like, just I don't know how tall the ceilings were.
Oh,
like it's massive. It's like, it's like being in a Star Destroyer. Like it has the scope of what you saw on film. Like and all just a fleet of stormtroopers. Like it was. Yeah, that's the point of the ride where like goosebumps, chills, emotions. I'm like, what? Like there's no going back from this. This is on another level. Like the ride's not even halfway through. And I already can tell this is like the best ride I've ever been on.
And what makes it so good is that it is an immersive experience. It's not just a roller coaster, or not just, fancy flashing lights. And I mean, you're interacting with actors who are playing these characters, and it is so amazing. And it's even funny. So at that point, at least when I was there, they of course want you to continue to move on, but they also recognize that everybody's going to stop and take pictures. So even like the First Order officers were like, please use your data pad and take your transmission and then move on. And like, so they were keeping everything in universe, even though they knew that everybody's going to stop and take a picture. And and so then they usher you into a smaller room, where then you are interrogated by Kylo Ren, which is kind of fun. Nothing ever happens to you, but the whole room like darkens, and the lights and Kylo Ren and his first officer. I am blanking on that.
I'm blanking on his name too. Everyone knows who we're talking about,
right? But, anyways, they're up above on the ledge, and again they reprise their role for this, and so like you feel like you're being you're not interrogated yet, but like you're intimidated by Kylo Ren. And then he gets called off, and the wall to I forget which side it was, the wall to like my right started to glow, and that's the Resistance breaking through, and they pull you out of the interrogation room, and then you get on this nifty little shuttle thing. I'm not even sure what you want to call it. And this is the roller coaster part of the ride, if you will, but it's not even a roller coaster. It's
trackless, but it's like one of those track rides. Like it's
right.
If you ever been on like the Transformers ride at Universal Studios, or it's where you're just like on this little, you know, track and you're just skating through like this, you know, through all the different set pieces. But yeah, obviously on this ride, it's just on another level because it's like you said, there are screens, but once you get to this point, it's like it's all practical stuff for the most part. It's like animatronics. The animatronics are so like, I mean, the animatronics on all the other rides that you've ever been on, like just look like, you know, it's like comparing like PlayStation 1 graphics to PlayStation, you know, 5. Like it's there's no comparison. Like sometimes you're fooled, like, wait, is that an actor or is that an animatronic? Yeah. And like this, the sets, like at one point you're like, you have the AT-ATs are like really life size. Like they could have cheated and just made it like a screen, you know, like and projected them, but no, it's real practical like sets and models.
Yeah, and so the whole story on that is Finn is leading you guys on this little shuttle to escape the Star Destroyer, and you run into AT-ATs. And I forget, like you try to escape one way and it doesn't work, and then you run into Kylo Ren and you have to like your little droid pilot is like freaking out, and
his lightsaber is like poking through like through the walls and stuff and almost getting you. Yeah.
I think at one point you end up on the lower part of the bridge and you can see Kylo Ren and I should just look
his first officer. Yeah, we should just Google this, shouldn't we? Yeah.
That's gonna bug me. But yeah, and then you continue to escape, and I think at one point there's even a somewhat of you get thrown up, not into the air, but you get lifted up, and then you finally get to an escape pod, and it kind of drops you out, and then you crash land back on Batuu with the Resistance, and that's kind of the the end of the ride. But it's
Enric.
What was that? No, that's Rogue One.
Okay, Google. You're right. Yeah. I'm like Kylo Ren first officer, and it's the first results Enric. But yeah, I mean, no matter how we describe this ride, we're not going to do it justice. I mean, it is as, I know the word we keep using is immersive, but it's as immersive as you can get. And in the Star Wars world, I mean, I don't know what other experience could match it. I mean, like I said before, like even if you were an actor or if you visited a set of a Star Wars film, it's not like this, you know, because it's you're really there. And again, Disney did not cheap out, and when they probably easily could have, but like they have a standard and they just up that standard to another level, because everything from the gift shops to these rides that we're talking about, like it's all a level of craftsmanship that is like unmatched.
Yeah, and I'm going to come back to that at the end, because I've got some a kind of a fun story to share about an in-universe experience. And General Hux is who we are trying to remember.
Hux. Yeah. Yes. All right.
So he makes an appearance too. On to a completely random topic in Galaxy's Edge. One of the other draws is that they made blue milk. Did you have blue milk?
I did not fall for the
okay.
I'm not big into the like sugary creamy drinks, and you know, it was a pretty hot day in Anaheim, so it didn't sound so I don't think it would have quenched my thirst. Yeah, I mean, I tried other Star Wars themed stuff, but you know, the blue milk, I did not. I stayed away from that.
So I did, and a lot of people really like it. I did not, and I did not, and I don't know. I might be in the minority here, but I was really just wanting. I think what I was wanting it to be was just milk that was food colored blue.
I see,
and it wasn't that. It was a slushy, fruity, alcoholic. You could add alcohol to it or not, but it was sort of a fruit slushy drink, and that doesn't scream milk to me. So not at all. I don't really know why they went down that road.
I didn't even know that. I assumed it had some milk component, but I guess
no,
not.
It's so I thought it was just I mean, it was all right, but it wasn't what I expected it to be. So I know a lot of people loved it, and a lot of people do love it. I will go for other drinks when I go back to Batuu.
I was not that I'm a Harry Potter fan, but when I visited Universal Studios, I had the butterbeer. I didn't like it.
I didn't like it. You didn't? Okay, I
know, and I know I'm in the minority too. A lot of people like that.
That one fit my mental image of how it should taste. So
maybe it's because I'm not a Harry Potter fan. I don't know. It was too sweet for me too, I think. Yeah, I'm just not into the sweet drinks.
They also have on Batuu a Droid Depot. Did you do the build your own droid experience?
I didn't do the build your own droid. I did like check it out.
Okay. And you'll have to share, because that was the one thing that I did not check out at all when I was there.
Yeah, no, because I like you, I did the build your own lightsaber experience, but outside the build your own droid experience, they had like people like displaying different examples, like samples of droids. So I actually got to try out some droids. Like they would hand you like a remote, and you could like, play around with some. So I did that, and it was pretty cool. And just seeing a bunch of kids, there was a lot of kids that experienced this. I noticed. It's definitely more for the kids, but they're coming out just with the biggest smiles on their faces with their, custom droids. Like, but yeah, it's like the lightsaber experience that we'll get into. Like, you can literally pick almost every little piece of it. And as far as, and I think the droids are even more customizable, because they come in different colors. They come in different different droid models. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot you can do with it. And I noticed in the gift shops, there was even more add-ons you could buy at the gift shops if you wanted to go home and like switch out parts. So yeah, any way to take more of your money, but
and yet we are all too happy to pay.
Absolutely, yeah.
So let's jump into the Savi's workshop, and this is one of those experiences that I would highly recommend. It's the you build your own lightsaber experience, and this is another one that fills up really quickly. So for me, reservations opened up 60 days before the day that you want to do it. So 60 days before, I think it was like I think they opened at midnight Orlando time, so I was on my phone at 10 p.m. and got reservations for it for me and my friend, and and that was one that, like, if you don't reserve it right away, it'll fill up and then you can't get a reservation. So if you are interested in this experience, which I would recommend, make sure that you do some planning 60 days ahead. And so this experience is really fun. You have 4 different themes, I guess I would call them, of different kinds of lightsabers that you can build. So they have a peace and justice themed set of pieces, which would echo sort of your prequel era lightsaber. So the Obi-Wan Kenobi lightsaber from the prequels, I think is probably a good kind of mental image of what that looks like. There are the power and control theme, and this would be more akin to the Sith's dark power, dark side lightsaber. That's kind of dark and black in its build. There is an elemental nature theme, which is sort of, I think one of the pieces is like, I don't know if it was a Rancor horn or there's some sort of horn with it. I wasn't interested in that. And then the final one is protection and defense. And so this one, I would compare it. It looks similar to the Temple Guardian lightsabers from Rebels. So it's kind of it's silver and gold in its kind of layout. So when you do this, you choose one of those 4 themes, and then they usher you into this kind of secret hidden cave because it's all in universe. So on Batuu, if the First Order knows that you're making lightsabers, they're going to come and shut it down. So even when they prepped us for this, they were like, if anybody asks you, what we're doing is we're just playing with like spare parts and junk metal. Like, don't tell anybody that you're actually building a lightsaber. And which I thought was a really fun way to tie it to the whole situation.
Yeah.
So what was your experience with the lightsaber? You said you had a fun story here.
Yeah. So going into it, again, this is going to be like a Marvel crossover with Star Wars podcast here. But when I was in the I was in a little waiting area once you check in, right outside the shop, and I noticed like from a short distance that the actor who's playing Shang-Chi in the next Marvel movie, Shang-Chi, was there.
The actor was there?
Yeah, the actual actor. Yeah, Simu Liu. Simu Liu. Yeah,
okay.
I think is how you pronounce his name. Yeah.
Awesome.
And if you're fans of, he was on a show called Kim's Convenience. That's on Netflix. I think only people who were fans of that show would probably recognize him because he's not. Other than that show, he hasn't really done anything else until up to now. Everyone's gonna know who he is now, obviously.
Yep.
Once that movie comes out, I just saw an early screening of it.
Dang, nice.
And it's awesome. It's really awesome.
It's on my list of movies to watch.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Okay.
So yeah, again, probably something to say for the Marvel podcast. So check that out, SQPN listeners. But I saw him from a distance. So again, he's not like a big A-list name yet.
Right.
So not a lot of people, no one was really going up to him. He was like with some friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it looked like he was actually with some other cast members from Kim's Convenience. But anyway, I saw him just like, oh, that's cool. That's the guy. I'm like, but I'm about to go into this thing. So I'm probably, I'm not gonna be able to talk to him probably. But once I got in, I noticed that he was in there too. He came in.
Nice.
He didn't build a lightsaber, but he was watching one of his friends build one. But he was in there. I'm like, oh, nice.
Dang.
So long story short, like after the whole experience, I was able to go up to him and ask for a picture. So I have a picture with him and got to talk to him. So that's my cool little story. But yeah, like you going back to the whole experience, like you described, once you're inside, it's totally cool. I mean, and again, like they probably could have done this in a way where they could have done it cheaper and had more people like do it per day. And make it more streamlined, but and they made it more of an experience. Like you're in this room and they present you like with the pieces, and you get to take your time. Like, you don't have like all the time in the world,
right?
Because they got to get to the next allotted time slot. But you got to like feel all the pieces, and you have choices. Like even though you'll pick a theme, but then the theme has choices within it.
Yep.
So, and it's all interchangeable pieces. So you get to play around with every little piece till you get it to where you like it. And then they present you with the fiber crystals and you pick your color and you get to, it literally goes inside the actual handle and you shut it. And, everything is just it was so well thought out. Like it was.
What astounded me by that whole thing was that the reason that my blade is green is because of the kyber crystal.
Yes.
It's not the blade itself has green LED strips in it.
Right.
It's the crystal. There's a light that shines through it. So when you pick your color, you are picking your color.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
And I loved how they framed it. They were like, they bring the crystals to you and they're like, choose the one that calls to you. And, so everything's all about, and even when you build it, it's, you build it for what feels right. Not like, it's the whole experience is totally you. It's your lightsaber and it's very, very, very cool experience. And then the other part of the whole thing is like as he goes through the 4 different themes and he explains them and the music changes for like the power and control one. And then even Yoda voices an affirmation for all of us who are building our lightsabers, and just super, super cool.
Yeah. And then like when you the whole, like when you get to light them up, it's like everyone does it at the same time. And, you raise it up and it sounds kind of corny, but it just adds to the whole, it adds to the whole experience.
It's one of those places that you can go and you can, and I mean this in a sincere way, but you can be a kid and it doesn't matter. I mean, you like everybody's doing the same thing and you don't feel awkward at all. Like, yeah, we're all going to raise our lightsabers in this sort of cool motion and salute and not one person is like, going to scoff at you or anything. Like this is part of the experience. And I think that's one thing that Disney does so well is you can go to any of these parks and you can let your inner kid run loose. And I think that there's something inherently good about that. I think we sometimes think that being adults means that like we have to like let go of all the childish things, and like you know, being adults means that you work and you pay your bills and you can't have fun, and that's only for kids. No, like this whole thing, like God created us to have joy, you know, and so this is one of the ways in which we can share that, and yeah, sure, it's a geeky way, but it's fantastic and incredible, and to share it in that kind of an environment is so good and awesome. I have a converse story to your story with the Shang-Chi actor, and I as you were telling your story, I kind of wanted to hide. I
can't wait to hear this.
Well, so Carlos and I, we were at Doc Ondar's Den of Antiquities, and one of the workers told us that he had seen Ashley Eckstein just exit the Den of Antiquities just maybe 5 minutes before. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
And so we tried to kind of walk slowly out of the park, and it was kind of the end of the day, and I was tired, and we tried to see if we could find her, and we did not find her. And it's funny because then afterwards we're like looking at her social media, and like she posted pictures of like she was there celebrating the birthday of someone else, and Carlos was like, I saw that other person that she's with, and I didn't even stop. And so we were like really close to meeting Ashley Eckstein in Batuu, and we failed.
Oh man.
So I'm happy that you got to meet your actor, but I was
I'm sorry you didn't get to. Yeah, it's okay. Especially Ashley Eckstein at Star Wars Land, man.
Yeah. Well, as long as I assume she would probably come to Star Wars Celebration, so I'm just putting that on my on my list of I'll meet her eventually in person.
No doubt.
I'm just trying to think what else. We haven't talked about Smuggler's Run yet.
We have not.
This is the other big attraction, if you will, at Galaxy's Edge. And this one you don't need a virtual queue for. You just line up and wait. And the line can go upwards, at least in Orlando. We waited hour to an hour and a half for it. And then we decided that we were going to go solo riders, and we got in immediately. So
that's what I did. Well, I did the single rider.
Yep.
And got in immediately.
But
like absolutely no way.
They will also split up your party though. So I mean, so if you do solo riders, you kind of got to realize that you might.
Which we were already doing anyway, because again, with my daughter there, we did a lot of child swap.
Yep.
A lot of child swapping and single riders. So we were already doing that. So, if you don't mind, riding, by yourself and not with a group, then you'll save a lot of time doing single rider, not just on that ride, but all the other rides.
But I will say that if you do wait through the line, it's almost worth it to wait through the line at least once, because the line will wrap around the Millennium Falcon, and it goes into the kind of Hondo's whatever shipyard area. And like, there's so much to see and do even while waiting in line. So it's not just kind of a boring experience in line, right? Even though you are still just kind of waiting for an hour. What's cool, the last time that I was able to do it, Carlos and I, we waited through the whole line because we wanted to be on it together, and we wanted to be the pilots. And so we ended up being between two groups that were big enough to have their own cockpits. So we were the only two in our little cockpit.
Oh wow,
which was really fun. But awesome. before I get into that, I just kind of want to describe the whole thing for our listeners. So the whole idea behind this ride is that apparently Chewbacca has landed the Millennium Falcon on Batuu, and he needs supplies, and Hondo from Star Wars Rebels has this place called the Onaka Transport Solutions. So apparently Chewbacca has allowed Hondo to use the Millennium Falcon for less than legal reasons, but Chewbacca is going to get supplies for the Resistance. So the whole idea is that this gives us a chance to be pilots for the Millennium Falcon and go on this smuggler's run for Hondo Onaka. And so the whole idea is that there are so you go into the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon. There are 6 people who can be in the cockpit at any one time. The 2 in front are pilots, and the one pilot controls up and down, one pilot controls left and right. The 2 people behind them in the seats are gunners, so they have to shoot down the enemies. And then the 2 people in the back are engineers who have to fix the ship when the pilots hit things. So it is also an interactive experience.
Yeah.
And I mean, I would compare it to a video game of sorts, because you can do good or you can do poor, and it affects the outcome of what happens. And it is so fun. And I never actually did the gunners. A couple of times I got stuck as an engineer, which was fun, but not my favorite.
No one wants to be an engineer. Yeah.
You know, you push buttons that light up, because that somehow fixes the ship. The pilots are the best seat in the house. You get the front.
They are.
One of the pilots, you get to pull the hyperspace handle and go into hyperspace, which is really fun. And like I said, it's you can do good or you can do poor. And so, like, the last time that Carlos and I were on it, we actually did fairly well. And I think we did fairly well because droids cover all the other roles. And so, I mean, we weren't the best pilots, but we were off, and I think we managed to steal 2 of the coaxium capsules. But there was something that happened in that last one that I'd never seen before. So you get sent on this mission. You have to extract a couple of these containers of coaxium and then head back to Batuu. And the last time that Carlos and I did it, I'm not sure what happened, but we stole the coaxium, and then on our way back to Batuu, we got pulled out into the middle of an asteroid field, which doesn't happen. Like, or it doesn't happen often. Yeah. I only saw it once, and it really surprised me, because you sort of get used to it. Like, I did the ride a number of times, and it's like, okay, I've got this, and you want to the video gamer in me is like, okay, we got to do this, 100% and not hit anything, which is darn near impossible. But then hitting the asteroid belt was really unexpected. And then at one point, I forget, you get out of it and get back to Batuu, and everything's good. But just know that, like, that is one of those rides that every experience is going to be different.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, like you said, depending on what role you play and how well the other members of your group are. Yeah. You could totally be. Yeah. Yeah. It was fun too, because like I said, I was a gunner when I went on, and, the whole time me and the other gunner were just yelling at the pilots, like, try it, what are you doing? Just giving them crap for how poorly they're driving. I mean, all we had to do was like basically push buttons that light up. At least being a gunner is cool, because you get to actually see you see what you're hitting and your effect on the game, and you get the stats at the end, right? So it's like you said, totally like a video game. And again, it's just, you really feel like you're inside a Millennium Falcon, and it's the buttons and it's everything's again tactile, and the level of detail is just on another level, So it's, and even incredible.
While you're waiting in line, you go through a room where you have, it's the common room of the Millennium Falcon where the Dejaric table is set up. And so, like, I mean, you're walking through all of that as you get to the cockpit, and another one of those kind of
the hallways. Yep. Oh man, when I was in the hallway right before you get in, I was like, oh my gosh, we're really in it. Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh yeah, and I think one of my times is I was when I did the single rider, I had a family, and there was like 2 giggly teenage girls as pilots. we did not do so well on that run. But yeah, so it's a blast. There's so much more that we could say. One of the things that I want to touch on, because this is my favorite thing that happened out of everything that happened. Carlos and I were walking around, and we saw one of the local people from Batuu set up on. There was a couple of the trash cans that had flat surfaces, and he had a deck of sabacc, and he was just teaching sabacc. So like,
oh wow.
So I even I'm showing Andrew, but I bought a deck. But what was cool about him? So his name was Dust, and it was the best experience. I mean, I rate this higher than Rise of the Resistance for me, because what this experience was it was an encounter with one of the Disney cast members who just loved what he was doing, and he was in character. So like he's teaching us sabacc, and he's like, this is the way that my mom taught me how to play, and so he kind of goes through the cards and he teaches sabacc. So if you want to know how to play sabacc, I can totally teach you.
Oh, that's so cool.
And so like he's going through all the cards, and as like some of the other locals walk by, they're like, watch out for him. He's gonna, swindle you, and they play off of each other. So like, they're like, they know each other from Batuu. And so he teaches sabacc, and then he plays a few rounds, and he does try to cheat, which is also totally in character. It was hilarious. And what was awesome about meeting Dust is we started to have a conversation with him after the whole sabacc thing, and we kind of got a little meta, if you will. We started kind of asking him about his time with Disney and that whole experience, and he was just so excited to be able to tell us, what the Disney Imagineers did and what their goal was, and what his role was. So his role, he wasn't selling anything. He wasn't making money for Disney per se. He wasn't at a shop. He wasn't, guiding people to an attraction. He was just there to play sabacc with people. And so the whole idea, and this is why I love Batuu and what Disney's done with it, is it feels like a lived in world. It's
Absolutely.
Like you have traveled, to some foreign country, and you're meeting one of the locals. And that's what they try to get across. So he gave us a pointer, and he was like, just go up to other cast members, as they're called, and ask them where they're from. And so we started to do that. And what happens is that every single employee has come up with their own backstory. So they're all local to Batuu. There are 3 different villages that they can come from. They can come from Galma, Pika, and Surabat. And so like I was trying to piece together so Galma is where Dust was from, and it totally makes sense because if you Wikipedia this, you'll find information on it. It's really cool. It was made just for Galaxy's Edge, by the way. So like these villages are all canon, but they're all made for Galaxy's Edge. So Dust is from Galma, which is a kind of an industrial mechanical village, but there's illegal pod racing and droid fights that happen there. So like it totally fit his character. Like he learned to gamble and stuff from a young age. But then like we would talk to other people, and they're like, oh, my family's from Pika, which is a fishing village. And they have a whole different kind of backstory. And then Surabat, I don't know if I met anybody from Surabat, but so either way, you can get into a conversation with them about their story. And they love to talk about their story, and it makes the experience all the more real. And so like even the the person who's taking out the trash, like they all have a story.
Yes.
And
I noticed everyone that works there just it could be someone who's just sweeping, like they're in full costume and like it doesn't feel like they're out of place.
Right.
It's really, like you said, it's lived in.
But I think it's important to point that out because most people don't realize that that's going on under the surface. Most people
I didn't know that. Yeah.
Most people go and they're like, oh, we're going to do, this ride, and we're going to eat here, and they view it as an amusement park. Which, okay, fair enough, it is. But what Disney has done has turned it from an amusement park into an actual immersive experience. And if you don't recognize that, like, the people working there are in character, if you don't recognize that, you're missing a whole layer of this whole experience. One of the things that they'll do, too, is that when they greet you, they'll say bright suns. And that's a traditional good morning or hello. That's local to Batuu. So it's everything is in universe. And Dust was sharing some of his experience with this, and he I mean, he really encouraged us to kind of to go down those roads and talk to people, because some of the Disney higher ups, I mean, they would look at that maybe not so fondly, because it doesn't really get them money, but it's totally part of what makes the experience an experience. So if you go to Galaxy's Edge, when you go to Galaxy's Edge, talk to the locals. I mean, imagine that you were going on some trip to Italy or France or anywhere, and just like you would talk to the locals and ask them, what their story is, or some of them have some really fun stories too. Like Dust was telling us there's a story, and I'm forgetting the story now, but there was a crack in one of the skywalks, and so he was telling us how the crack appeared, and it was I can't remember, there was a romance gone wrong, and I can't even remember what it was, but like, if you go just for the rides, you are missing an entire level of experience that I think makes it way more incredible.
Wow. Okay. So that's good to know. I'm definitely going to be doing that next time. Yeah. Next time I go back. Yeah. It's because like, even if you're just there, like you'll get to, like, especially on the rides, obviously you're going to interact with a lot of the cast members, and a lot of them will come up to you, or if you catch them doing one of their, their kind of live performances just out in the open. Like, it's very impressive. And the Anaheim, like, if you're going to Disneyland, like, almost everyone that works there is like trying to be an actor. So it's a lot of like people just, this is like their first job, or like, even if they've been at Disneyland for a while, like a lot of them are trying to make it in Hollywood, or have that dream, just obviously just living in that region. So I can only imagine the level of that some of those cast members go to. So I'm definitely going to do that next time I'm there.
And even just like wander and watch, it's one thing. Like if it's your first time there, you're almost so overwhelmed with, okay, we got to do this and we got to do that, and you want to hit everything, and that's totally understandable. But if you can just kind of pause and watch. I mean, the interactions are great. And of course there are the main characters, Rey and Chewbacca show up, and I think if it was outside of COVID, you could interact with them more directly, but with COVID, they're kind of behind they're kind of up on a balcony and stuff. And so you can see them and hear them and interact, but then, Kylo Ren and the stormtroopers are there. And, but then just the people, it's so cool. Dust would people would come up to him, and we sat and talked to him for quite a while, and like people would come up to him and be like, where's the bathroom, and he would respond with, well, what's it to you? Like, how much are you gonna give me for that information? And like some people would respond like in turn, and I can't remember anything that they said, but and some people he would recognize, like, okay, they need to go to the bathroom now, so like, okay, it's down and on the left, but like just the way that they interact with the people visiting is truly remarkable, and just I'm in awe at the brains that went into it. Couple other random fun tidbits on Galaxy's Edge. John Williams actually created an original score for it. I don't know if you picked up on that.
I didn't know that.
I'm not entirely sure where the music can be heard. I think it can be heard maybe in the Rise of the Resistance attraction, or maybe Smuggler's Run. It's not just like playing in the cantina, because what's playing in the cantina is in-universe music, like what they would probably actually be listening to. So you can look up on YouTube the original score for Galaxy's Edge, and it's pretty good. Another random tidbit is Vanessa Marshall, who we interviewed on the podcast a number of months ago. Her voice is heard in Hondo's area. So she's one of them who's on the speakers that are in the communications. So
nice.
It sounds like Hera, but it's not Hera. But it is Vanessa Marshall.
It's Vanessa Marshall. Nice.
Any other kind of random things that stuck out at you? I mean, there's so much we could say. We haven't even touched on the marketplace. If you want to get, tidbits or toys or stuffed porgs to take with you. There's a cool marketplace that you can go to.
Yeah, it's a dangerous place. Yeah, I had to hold back.
I got a stuffed Boba Fett.
Nice. Of course you did.
So,
yeah.
Yeah. So I guess maybe we'll end with what was your favorite part of Galaxy's Edge?
Oh, I have to say it's Rise of the Resistance, because again, I just was not expecting it to be at the level again of detail and of immersiveness, and just I didn't know a theme park ride and an attraction could be could get up to a level like that. Like it's hard. Like I can't even. It's hard for me to find the words literally right now. But it was incredible. Mm-hmm. And I again, it's we gave you the tip on how to get in. Like you just got to be on that app, and that's at 7 a.m. And then I think you said it was for 1 o'clock. Yep. It was the second time. I think it's noon. I think it's noon for Disneyland for the second chance. But yeah, I highly like if you're lucky enough to be going to Disneyland or Disney World, that needs to be at the top of your list or near the top of your list of things to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it changed everything. And I guess the experiencing the fireworks at Star Wars Land I highly recommend too, because instead of being watching it at the castle. Yep. If it's your first time and you want to watch it at the castle, I get it. But if you've been to Disneyland or Disney World before, I highly recommend, at least at the Disneyland location that I can speak of, watching the fireworks there. Yeah. There's a lot less people and the fireworks are like in your face. Yep. It was incredible.
I don't think that Orlando has fireworks there, but I would recommend, if you have the stamina to stay all day, stay until nightfall. And the whole
it's a totally different experience at night.
Oh yeah.
You're absolutely right.
It looks like all the ships that are docked light up, and it looks and feels so much different. And then everybody who has bought a lightsaber, which is a lot of people, they'll be walking around with their lightsabers lit, and
there were people like just straight up lightsaber fighting in front of the Millennium Falcon, and all the different everyone's like taking pictures for their Instagram accounts or whatever. But yeah, I obviously got my picture in front of the Millennium Falcon with my lightsaber, so I am one of those people. So yeah, it's really, of course. But yeah, it's a totally cool experience at night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and so my favorite part, I've actually already said it, was the sabacc experience. And he actually taught us normal sabacc, and then he taught us I think he called it Corellian Spike, and even then, like he was like trying to tell us in character. He's like, and if you want to learn more about this, I would not tell you to go on your data pad to the HoloNet, and I would not recommend looking up Corellian Spike on YouTube. And I think it's Corellian Spike on YouTube is actually how he learned it, because if you buy the deck, it comes with instructions, but the instructions are really hard to follow. Mm-hmm. So if you YouTube it, it helps. Or just contact me. I'll teach you. It's kind of fun. This is the same cards that are seen in Solo, A Star Wars Story. So nice. Slightly different than the pre-Disney Legends universe sabacc game, but they're both kind of based on the same premise. So so let me know. I'll teach you if you want to learn.
Nice. I should grab a deck.
Yeah. You should. I think I'm going to bring it to youth group here at the church, and just because it's basically like 21 essentially. So it's easy to pick up, and it's quick rounds. So it's not like, you have to dedicate, a substantial amount of time to playing the game. You can play for just a couple rounds and be over in 5 minutes.
That's good.
So yeah, it's a good game. So that is going to conclude our discussion, even though there's so much more that we could say. And so, listeners, we want to know what your experience was. Hopefully, if you've gone to Galaxy's Edge, we'd love to hear about it. And if you haven't gone to Galaxy's Edge, you should definitely check that out if you have the opportunity. But before we completely wrap up, there are just a couple listener feedback comments that I want to make. One is from Kelly Brown on Facebook, and she had commented last week regarding the penultimate episode of The Bad Batch. And so now she's commenting on the final episode of The Bad Batch. And she says, Quote, I was completely wrong in my prediction after part 1, and I am very glad. The way that the show ended was much more interesting. Crosshair's decision at the end was heartbreaking, but actually more realistic. I know that Star Wars is full of quick redemption arcs, but that's usually not how things really happen. Redemption is a slow process sometimes. If Crosshair is redeemed, and he might not be, he is going to first need to see more of how little the Empire actually views him. Storytelling-wise, having Crosshair with the Empire next season is helpful. We, the audience, can see the Empire through his eyes. I'm actually going through Clone Wars, and I'm currently in Season 3. I just finished the episode where Kamino is attacked by Grievous. After seeing what happens to Kamino in the finale of The Bad Batch, it was actually sad. Watching the Clone Wars has made me care about the clones. I avoided watching the Clone Wars because I didn't think I would like an animated show, but after seeing The Bad Batch and the first seasons of the Clone Wars, I've realized just how wrong I was. Kudos to Dave Filoni. Can't wait till next season. It's going to be a long wait, but until then, I have the Clone Wars to watch for the first time.
So lucky to experience that for the first time.
Yeah, and Kelly, I think you would echo, probably a lot of people's opinions is just because it's an animated show actually does not mean that it's meant just for kids, and it does humanize the clones and really kind of brings them into the spotlight and makes us care about them, which is important for the story. And I agree. I think Crosshair's redemption arc is going, if it happens, which I think we all hope it will. That's I think where season 2 will explore. Also, we had an email from Catherine, and she said, great podcast on the Bad Batch series. I'm also hoping for a clone colony, just like in Timothy Zahn's Spectre of the Past and Visions of the Future books. By far my favorite Star Wars story arc. So we'll see what happens. I don't know if they'll pull from Spectre of the Past and Vision of the Future. That would be really cool, but I do think that the mountain at the end of the Bad Batch is very possibly an allusion to Heir to the Empire, the Timothy Zahn trilogy that he wrote before the two that you mentioned. So they are definitely pulling from legends and bringing aspects into canon. So they totally could at some point. So that is it from us. And so listeners, of course, if you've been to Galaxy's Edge, we want to hear your experience. And so you can comment on our Facebook or Twitter page to let us know what you loved about the experience and any hints or tips or secrets that you've experienced in Galaxy's Edge. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/StarQuestMedia and on Twitter at SQPN. And you can email us any feedback at starwars@sqpn.com. And we would like to take a moment now to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create the Secrets of Star Wars, including Andrew E., Christopher V., Natalie B., Cesar T., and Colleen H. Their generous donations at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue the Secrets of Star Wars and all the shows at StarQuest. And you can join them by going to sqpn.com/give. Also, of course, make sure that you are subscribed to the show in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or your favorite podcast player so you don't miss a single episode. And if you want to find all of our previous episodes, you can go to sqpn.com/Star Wars. And so since we are in between TV series at the moment, we are going to be going back to our 2-week episodes, 2 weeks between podcast episodes. So we will be back in 2 weeks as we are going to do a couple character-specific episodes. And so first we are going to be taking a deeper look into my favorite character, Jango Fett. So until next time, Andrew Hermes, thank you for joining me and sharing the secrets of Star Wars.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
And once again, I'm Father Andrew Kinstetter. Thank you for listening to the Secrets of Star Wars on StarQuest.